say you are what you eat, so I don't eat chicken feet. But I love me some of Grandma's pickled beets. Well, cut it up, put it in the pan, throw it over your shoulder and see where it lands right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Maters, taters, beans and corn, the cows in the barn and the sheep's been shorn, kids in the barnyard chasing Grandpa's chicken. Spices, slices, cuts and dices, gonna slash your grocery prices right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Help you grow your garden good with recipes to suit your mood. Try some grub you've never tried before. Smash it with a wooden mallet, gonna educate your palate. Right here in Farmer's Kitchen, in Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. We're gonna cook something good now.
Funding for Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen brought to you by Woods Equipment Company. Has every tool you need to make working the land as rewarding as hunting it. L81 Bottling Company. Taste, love, and share the tradition. Kentucky Sheep and Goat Development Office. Try something different tonight. Housewarmings, the outdoor living and fireplace experts.
Hello and welcome to Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. We're preparing some brand new cowboy cooking segments coming up very shortly. But on this week's show, we'll get some great stuff for you. You want to find good, healthy food, vegetables locally. That's something I do on my own. I grow my own garden, but if I can't find that, I like to find a farmer's market, or if you're in Lexington or anywhere close, let's check out some good food stuff. Hey, not only have vegetables, they cook in the back. We're with Josh Crone in Lexington, Good Foods Market and Cafe. What's the address here? How do you get here if you want to come shop?
455 Southland Drive. We're just off of Nicholasville Road.
You know what? Our world is changing. Our world of food is changing. As I walk in here and I look down the aisle, I see not only organic green cabbage, but organic green cabbage from Rolling Fork Farm in Forkland, Kentucky. We know where it comes from. Yes. We know it's organic. We know that this is food raised by people who care about what goes into their bodies. People are paying attention nowadays. I'm paying attention. I'm not getting younger. And we want to make sure that that food we're putting in our bodies is good and I don't like chemicals. Sure. If I can help it. And I'm looking around your store and you talk about a co-op. What are these food co-ops that are going on around the nation right now?
A co-op is a cooperative movement whereby we're established by the community in order to help the community. The majority of our customers are member owners. What you do is you buy into a store like this, and they're all throughout the nation. You buy into the store. Throughout your purchases, your stock purchase, you become an owner. That equity is what finances our operations, enables us to buy fixtures and things of the like. It's basically a relationship that we're looking to develop with consumers, where we're heavily invested in the community, they're heavily invested in our operations, and it's a very symbiotic relationship.
So as we look around here, I'm just, again, amazed at the fact that all this food's coming around. But, you know, some of the outfits that do this, maybe Sam's or Costco, but the difference there is this money stays right here.
Right here in the economy. Nearly 70 cents of our local dollars stay. When you buy something here at Good Foods, that money stays here. We use that money to grow the local economy. We can hire more people. We can buy more local produce and grocery items. We can keep more local farmers on the land. Last year, nearly $1 million of our total purchasing went to local people right here in the state of Kentucky.
Wow. So as I look around on the shelves, not just vegetables, but I suppose meat as well, and some canned goods?
Oh, absolutely. Dairy as well. All departments are represented by our local producers.
So I got to get out here and take a look around. Now, what would you say to folks who you might want to get to come down here and check your place out, who are used to going to places and buying food, not looking at the label, not knowing where it is? Why come here?
One of the best reasons to come here is that you're going to help your local people. In this day and age, our economy isn't what it used to be 10, 20 years ago. We need to help one another. We need to help our local farmers stay on their land. We need to think more consciously of what we're putting into our bodies. We need to look 10, 20, 30 years down the road and try to eat as healthfully as possible. Any money that we spend on good food is money that we're going to save down the road in medical bills and things of that nature. So it's just a great thing all the way around. We can help everyone else and we can also help ourselves.
Collectively, over the years, I can't imagine what we put in our bodies.
Absolutely.
But at any given time, once you start washing that old out and bringing the new in, why not make it all good stuff?
Absolutely. And that's one of the benefits is, besides the fact that so much of the food that we sell here is organic, it's also local.
Sold, Josh.
Thank you.
I'm going to do some shopping.
Absolutely.
Can we look around?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
We'll be back.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, now we have moved to the back to where it's smelling mighty good. And this is Sean Rice, who is going to show us a recipe. Now, here's the fantastic, wonderful thing about what you're doing right here. You can walk out into the store, and I'm going to let you do it. You know, here's the great thing about this movement today. You know where your pork's from?
Absolutely.
You know where your eggs are from. You know where your tomatoes are from. You know where your corn's from. You know where your pepper's from. Don't you think that it's about time that we've come to this point where back in the day you knew who your milkman was, you knew who your milk came from, you knew your butcher? Isn't it kind of cool to be moving back into that?
Absolutely. That's a huge part of what the co-op's about. Getting as much local produce and local meat as we can in here, and supporting our local economy and our local producers.
Now, you have a hot bar out here.
We do. We have a huge hot bar. We've got vegan options. We got vegetarian options, fish, a beef or pork or chicken every day, along with all kinds of different sides. We have a full salad bar as well, along with a cafe menu that's outside of that. So we've got all kinds of soups out there every day, 4 soups. So we've got a
So if you want to eat good and you don't have time to cook yourself,
Absolutely.
come on down and you can hook them
Absolutely.
up. Don't you love to cook for people and watch them enjoy what you do?
It's a huge thing. Yeah, that's a big part of the motivation that's kept me going is seeing the response whenever you give somebody a plate of food that they love. So.
That's a cool thing. I love cooking for people too. But I'm nowhere on your level. All right, let's talk about what we've got here. Where's your pork from?
Our pork is from Stonecross Farms up in Taylorsville.
His name was Jeff.
His name was Jeff. Now his name's going to be Food. But I put a little bit of a coriander and cumin rub on that with some garlic, onion powder, salt, pepper.
What are we making, by the way? What's this?
Well, it's a coriander rub pork loin, and then we're going to do a citrus cilantro mojo, which is basically just citrus, garlic, cilantro, a little bit of salt and oil, and then going to do some Southwest fried corn with that. With some local corn, we've got local onion and bell pepper, local basil. We've got some, the cream is local, the butter's local, everything that we're going to be putting in our mouths here in a minute is going to be local. So.
That is so cool. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I want to give you plenty of room to work. I'm going to step out of the way, watch you do your thing, and smell the good smells when it's all over. I guess I get to taste it.
Absolutely. We got plenty for you.
My job.
It's rough, isn't
I'm going to get out of your way.
All right. Okay, so like I said, we've got our Stonecross pork loin that I rubbed just a little bit ago with a little bit of coriander, garlic, onion powder, cumin, salt, and pepper. We're just going to lay this right in here. In the meantime, we'll come over here to our blender. You can just rip off a hunk, throw it right in there. I've got the juice of 1 orange, 2 limes, and 2 lemons. That can go right in there. A couple of garlic cloves. And again, a little bit of our sunflower oil. Probably about 1/3 of a cup right there. And that's all there is to making the sauce. So that is a cilantro mojo. Go ahead and flip our pork over here. Got that nice crust on the outside. And we're going to go with our garlic and jalapeno first. Then we're going to come in with the onion and bell pepper. And our corn. And then bring this butter into it. And that's about 2 tablespoons of butter we're going to be using.
I like where you're going here.
So the main reason I started this pork first was you always want to let your meat rest after it's come off. I'm sure you know that part. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it right off of here. And we want to kind of use the same flavor profiles as what we're putting on the pork. So I already had a little bit of coriander in with the corn there. So, and we're going to reserve this other stuff for just a minute. Let our butter get good and melted. And then we come in with the cream. And I know it's kind of against the rules, but that is full fat, heavy cream right there.
No, it's not against the rules.
Don't want to chance on the good stuff. And then basically this basil, I'm just tearing it up, throwing it in there. Let's give this a quick shake, and we are just about ready to plate this up. So what I'm going to do is throw these tomatoes in real quick. You don't want to give them so much time that they just disintegrate. You just want to give them enough time to add a little flavor, add a little color. We're going to grab our pork here, and we're going to slice it on up. And here we come with the good stuff.
You love your job, don't you?
I do. I enjoy it. It definitely has its perks. So now if you notice, this pork is not all the way done. There's a misconception that pork needs to be done in order to be edible. Pretty much trichinosis has been eliminated through modern science, so you can eat a medium rare to medium pork.
Not going to hurt you.
And this is the loin, so it's not ground. It's a much safer meat. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our mojo here, and we're just going to run it right across the front.
You know what? You're an artist. That's pretty. I like it. Your food should look
I'll tell
interesting
you what,
and colorful.
If it looks good, it tastes better.
Yeah.
How'd we do?
Oh my God.
Like I said, I was trying to highlight as many of our local products that we have in the store as I could.
You're my new best friend. That is delicious.
Well, you can come back and see me anytime you want to.
Man, I'm telling you what. I want to come back and visit you. I want to come back and shop, and I want to encourage people to come out here and be conscious of what you're putting in your body.
Absolutely.
Be conscious of folks here in Kentucky who are working hard to put the products on this shelf, add to the community, keep everything right here, know where it's coming from, know your farmer, know your butcher. Everybody here, everybody who brings food here is local.
Absolutely.
Now, there's some stuff that's brought in, that we don't grow here, but for the most part, it's local, and that is stupid good.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for letting us in your
Good to see you.
I appreciate you. As we continue our bee saga, I'm going to have honey very shortly. We're going to talk about the fact that I've gone from my starter box to my big boy box. Hey, I'm almost a bee dude. All right, back to this summer of extremes. We're set up. Hey, thanks for coming back out, Jay. You know what? I'm graduating today to the big boy hive. We've got our little fella over here. It's served its purpose, but it's time to move on to the big hive, which means, why do we need to go from that? They got to make it through the winter. They need a lot more stuff, correct?
Yes, they need more places. She needs more places to lay and also needs more honey to feed.
So we're going from 6 frames to 9 frames, correct?
Yes. Now, I do 9 frames. A lot of the beekeepers will tell you 10 frames, because the more air you take up in the box in the wintertime, the better off you are. But no beekeeper told me you could put 9 frames, you could put 6 frames. They're going to draw out what they want.
Gotcha.
And I usually do 9 frames. It's easier to pull out, so you make sure you don't roll the queen when you do it, and they'll draw out to whatever thickness they want.
Let's go ahead and take a look at one of these frames. All that is just, this is
beeswax.
that they have recycled.
That they have recycled, yes.
And they've turned that into a usable structure for them to build on.
Yes, and they've got wire in them, so it's easier for you to sling. You don't have to worry about slinging the center out.
And when you say sling, again, that's talking about this, using a centrifuge type thing to,
yes, sir,
to sling that honey out of there.
They'll stand just like this to the outside of the barrel, and it'll spin, and it'll sling both sides out at the same time.
We were talking about keeping hives, and again, this is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of work involved. You were just talking about all the things that can go wrong. First of all, we have mite issues. That could be a problem. Everything in the world wants to eat the honey. You've got ants that you might have to deal with. You've got moths that can get in there.
Yep.
Mice try to get in the wintertime. Skunks.
Yep.
I mean, goodness gracious. And living in a country that was a constant battle. Right out there, that rabbit, he's been in my garden. We'll talk about that later. But, it is a constant battle, and that's why you have to check them on occasion. You don't want to check them too much. But
you don't want to open them up. As far as going around checking the boxes, as a matter of fact, I found one last night, skunk was hitting.
Now, skunks, you say, will leave a muddy paw print on there.
They'll leave a muddy paw print, and they'll stamp the front of the box down in the front on the ground. They'll pat it down like you're walking on it constantly, because they move their back feet and their front feet at the same time.
And you put a little strip with nails on it.
I put
kind of
tack strip down, so when he mashes that bee and he rakes his leg, it eats the front of that leg up.
That's what he gets.
And he won't be back, usually.
Well, I'm fascinated by the amount of critters that want to eat your honey. Ultimately, I would like to think that I'd end up with most of it, but we're going to have to deal with that as we go along. This is just part of the process.
Part of the process, yes.
Sometimes you have to give them a new hive like this. You have to give them a little something to boost them. What have you got today?
Well, what I brought today is a inside feeder, and what this is designed for is to put sugar water in, and they come through the center around the outside of this clear glass down to get the sugar water and take it back to the hive. You've got to make sure that they've got plenty to get them through the winter.
Yes,
and once you get about 6 frames, then you can cut sugar level off. I usually give them at least 6 to 7 frames, and after they get that drawed out and capped, then they've got enough to get them through the winter. It takes about 60 pounds.
Then at that point, you just kind of check them every now and then. If you see everything's fine, nothing unusual, you just kind of let them be at that.
Yes. The more you open up the box and pour your sugar water in, the more they get used to you. Usually you could, by the end of the summer, you can walk over here with nothing, open up the box with no suit on.
I'll take your word on that.
I'll show you.
All right, so now we've stepped up to the real deal here. Now we've got this little plastic piece on here. You explained to me in the wintertime, sometimes mice like to get in there.
Yes.
What's that on there for?
I've made this myself, and the reason why I've done it so I could see in the hive in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. A lot of your bee companies make wood strips to go inside there, metal strips. I use plexiglass because it's easier to see, so I can make sure that there's nothing blocking the entrance for them to come in and out when we do get a warm day for them to come out and use the bathroom.
Right.
So I made it where you could break screws loose in the summertime and raise it up like it is now, mm-hmm. and in the wintertime break screws loose, push it all the way down, and then when I got this entrance to come in and out, that keeps the mice out.
Now, let me ask you the big question. We're going from the nuke box to this. How do you move that box out of the way, or do you pull the top off and just put the frames in here?
Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to pick the box up, set it in front, move our blocks and stuff around, because it takes 3 blocks for these bigger boxes. Mm-hmm. Get them situated. Then the very first thing I'm going to do is find the queen. And once I find the queen, I'm going to stick her in the center of your bottom box.
Gotcha.
Then I'll work the brood that she's got laying, or the eggs she's got laying in the brood that's getting ready to hatch out. I'll make sure that they're close to the center. Your 2 frames to the outside for your honey. Then if the rest of them's full of honey, we'll stick it in the top box.
Yeah.
Then we'll distribute the rest of these frames that need to be drawn out. They'll draw them out pretty fast.
So our goal is to let them have more honey for the wintertime. I'm not going to get any honey out of this box this year. I'll have to buy mine from you. Some of the source.
If we keep getting rain like we have been, it's a possibility. Yeah, it's a possibility. You might get a half a box.
Wow.
Later in the fall. I usually sling close to the end of October right after the very first hard freeze, because you got goldenrod, you got your bee asters, all that blooms in the fall. So I usually sling about the end of October.
One of these days in the near future, I hope to put my little bee suit on and walk up here and y'all can laugh at me as I get in there and take a look at it.
Well, I don't think you'll have a problem with these. They're pretty calm. I mean, I stood up in front of the box a while ago, watching them come in and out, and they are packing honey, so that's a real good sign for you.
Well, you're all nice and sweaty. I'm just cool as a cucumber. I've been standing back. Thank you so much again for you coming up here. What's the next step?
The next step is just to make sure they've got plenty of sugar water and get their second brood box full. And once they do that, then the next box for you.
If we're really lucky, that top's going to load up. And
that second brood box is full, and once they fill 7 of the 9 frames, then you pull your feeder out. You put your frames and foundations in for what you sling.
And we'll say thank you very much, bees. Well, we'll kind of keep an eye on it. And again, there's so much to learn, and we'll still be checking back in with you guys on occasion. Anytime anything comes up new or unusual, we're going to ask for your bee brain power. Well, thank you, and thank Alan, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.
You're mighty welcome.
Now, you know what? Our gardens are maturing. Our tomatoes are ripe. What's the best thing in the world you can make out of tomatoes? Tomato juice. And I can think of nobody better to show us how to make that tomato juice than Bobby and his lovely wife, Lois. All right, we're back at Bobby Joe Ellis's, and he's got his helper Bailey today. You know what? One of the best things that happens about this time of year is tomatoes. There's so many things you can do with them, but my favorite is probably the same as yours.
Okay.
It's tomato juice.
That's my favorite.
You can't beat it. How many quarts of tomato juice would you put up here or try to?
Well, last year we had 120 quarts.
How long did that last you?
Oh, yeah.
All year long? Are you down to, have you drank all of them from last year?
No, I share. My son took half of them with him.
Which son?
Matthew.
Matthew took
Yeah, he packed
you
those
still
out.
claim him?
Yeah.
Because I guess he's the only son that you got.
Yeah, well, you just got one.
Yeah, I guess you have. You know what? You're taking all these tomatoes. Now, you've got an attachment on here that I find interesting. Obviously, you got your tomatoes over here and you've washed them off. Then you cut the bad places off. Show me what you do to get them ready.
Cut the top part off
All right.
and flip your tomato over and make sure there's no bad pieces on it.
Just cut it in fairly small pieces.
Yeah, anything go down that spout.
And you just get enough to work with in the bowl here to make a couple quarts. How many quarts do you think that'll make?
Oh, what we got there probably make, plus what I took one tub in the house, it'll make about 6 quarts.
6 quarts.
Now we'll get back to the squeezing a little bit over here.
So what are you paying Bailey, about $800-900 an hour?
Not hardly.
All right, I got to tell you, Bob Joe, back in the old days, when I was watching my mom make tomato juice, that little thing right there wasn't around. And then you had to boil the hide, just flash boil them and take the hides off. That is a wonderful thing right there.
It sure does speed up process.
I'm telling you what, you take out several steps that you normally wouldn't have to take. Now, if you didn't have this, you can still do things the old-fashioned way. You can boil them a little bit, flash boil them, take the hide off,
and then you
strain
put
them.
in the colander and if you juice that way, that takes a lot of time and a lot of steps.
Now, if you have a food processor, all you got to do is get one of these attachments. Now, where'd you get that?
I've ordered it.
What's it called? Just a tomato juicer?
Yeah, this is actually a food processor to grind sausage and all that. But then they got this attachment goes on the end of it for your tomato juice.
That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, that's going to be a hit. A lot of people out there who haven't seen this are going to really like this. How long have you been using that?
About, 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years? All right, I like where you're going with that. So now we pack this inside?
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming this is kind of be like the sauerkraut deal. We take it inside and Lois takes over from there.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah,
outside guy,
finishes
she's the
it up.
inside.
Yeah, you finish it up.
All right.
We'll take this to her.
All right. I bet that's good. Just drink it right there. Lois, we're back in your kitchen. You have banished Bobby Joe back outside where he belongs.
That's right.
You know what? I like the system y'all got. My wife and I do the same thing. He has his part, you have your part. It's a perfect partnership. And that's why marriages work. You work
That's
together.
right. That's right.
And having said that, he's got it down to a science out there. I like this new way. I wouldn't say new, but this attachment keeps you from having to flash boil them and peel the hides off of them. You don't have to put them through the colander and all that. This is nice. What happens next when you bring juice in?
Okay, we bring the juice in and put it in a heavy pan so that it doesn't stick.
Gotcha.
And bring it to a boil it for 2 or 3 minutes. And then you have your jar sterilized and you pour it in the jar. And you put a teaspoon of salt.
Just regular old kitchen salt.
No, canning salt.
Canning salt. Okay.
Canning salt.
I'm glad to know that. I like those
canning
details.
salt in each quart.
Gotcha. Gotta have some salt in tomato juice.
And that's right.
And you know what? They put a lot more in the store-bought stuff than that. A whole lot more. That's a good healthy amount right there. If you look at the ones you buy in the store, like 500-600 milligrams of salt. It's ridiculous.
And that is not healthy.
No. Put it in a jar. Put your salt in it.
and you got juice.
That's right.
I was telling Bobby, I said, you can't get that fresh tomato taste in the wintertime when you buy those store-bought tomatoes. So that's about as close as you can get to the garden right there, isn't it?
And it sure is. It smells good. Good soup all winter.
You know what? We loved the sauerkraut. I love the little recipe you did that you put in the oven with the potatoes. All those delicious. And I love your tomato juice. I love the fact that it's quick and easy. And I thank you once more for being on Tim Farmers Country Kitchen.
Well, you're so welcome.
'Cause I'm in Lois's kitchen today.
You are welcome anytime.
Thank you. As you can see, we're working on a cowboy campfire cooking series. Got a lot of great recipes coming up for you. Found me a cowgirl. Nikki's going to help me out on a lot of these recipes. And until next week, check out Tim Farmers Country Kitchen Facebook page. We got some contests coming up. You want to be a part of that. Also, check out timfarmerscountrykitchen.com. Check out all our recipes and shows you may not have seen before. And remember, it's all about good times, good friends, and good eats. See you next week on Tim Farmers Country Kitchen.
Special thanks to Bayou Bluegrass Catering and Weisenberger Mill.